Yeah, you can colour me sceptical about the class of '92's ability to put together the $3 billion required to buy Manchester United.
Yeah, like I think the class of '92 needs to realise that they're former professional footballers. They're not, you know, Bill Gates. They're not billionaires. Simple as that. There is a potential one day that somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo becomes a billionaire. But the class of '92, maybe who's the richest of the class of '92? First of all, and second of all, even if you combined all their wealth, would they have enough to make a bid for Manchester United?
Did Gary and Phil Neville get lumped in together as like the Neville wealth? I don't know. I mean, like, you've no idea who the richest of them is, because whoever put their money in the thing that grew the most is the richest. As whoever spent their money is not the richest. Like, it's we haven't a clue because they don't publish accounts for Neville Inc. or Giggs Inc.
My feeling is that if any of them had enough money to be part of a consortium that would purchase a top Premier League football club, none of them would be pundits. Now, granted, they all love football and they all love talking about football, but I do suspect at least one of them wouldn't be a pundit. But they're all pundits, aren't they? Are any of them not earning a regular kind of
living? Phil obviously trains the English women's team.
He was on Match of the Day like a couple of weeks ago, wasn't he?
Okay, so he's a spare part-time pundit.
Yeah, exactly. If do you think you'd be working 2 jobs if you had enough money to buy a football club?
I mean, I'd say they get bored, and they're probably like...
There is an element to that, and they do love football, as I said.
With the other reason that they're on TV is to try and keep the profile up, because they want to like try and... So it'd be other people's money they'd be spending to buy the club off the Glazers, and like, if I have $3 billion, I'm probably not going to give it to that shower to buy that thing. Do you know?
Yeah, true. It's a fair point. Like...
Then again, maybe if you get $3 billion, you're like, yeah, I'll buy Man United.
Are you convincing yourself now that it's going to happen?
No, I'm absolutely... Anyway. Crashing out of Belgian Grand Prix, Alonso's challenge ends early. It's really the front page of the Irish Times sports section has that picture, because that picture is pretty dramatic. Fernando Alonso from McLaren and Sauber's Charles Leclerc crash out at the first corner of the Belgian Grand Prix. I don't know, and it doesn't actually tell you who won. And you know what?
I think Vettel's after taking over at the top of the championship leaderboard.
I mean, you're watching this, you can totally understand. Everyone's like, oh, esports, ridiculous. Imagine people watching people playing computer games. You're like, well, that's basically been Formula 1 for the last 2 decades, guys. Kevin McStay, officiating is not kept up with the modern game, is the headline on his column, obviously. McStay has a bit of a mea culpa in the middle of that. I ended up doing something I never thought I would do, regretted it the second it happened. So, it's good for Kevin McStay to get the opportunity to come out and say sorry. Often the hardest word, not the hardest word for José Mourinho, though. Just going to give you the headline here, sorry. Pochettino's positivity contrasts sharply with morose Mourinho. And then Long and McLean provide positives for O'Neill. So a reasonable weekend for Shane Long and James McLean, who scored his first goal for Stoke against Hull.
Yeah, of course. Like when I saw him score that goal, I was like, oh, well, he's clearly won the power battle between Ryan Shawcross and Jack Butland. But actually the case was all 3 of them started. All 3 of them, I think, played the full 90 minutes in that game on Saturday afternoon. They've been men about it. They've just been like, all right, we had a bit of a Barney in the dressing room, as they might call it in Stoke. And they said, no, we're going to park that and we're going to go out and play on Saturday. And he's ended up scoring and they've ended up winning the game. It's all worked out well in the end.
Oh, yeah, it's all coming up Stoke City.
It certainly is. For the first time ever, I think you said that. But it certainly is.
Yeah, I should point out that the football was pretty good all weekend. If you backed all of our specials on offtheball.com/boysports, 2 3-1 winners. I mean, that's the best tipping I've ever experienced.
What was it? Salah to score first?
Salah to score first with an enhanced price, 2-1, 3-1. And then the other was a Fulham-Chelsea double. Loads of coverage of the Pope. I mean, I don't really get it. It's taking up a lot of space in the papers.
It's certainly taking a lot of wraparounds anyway this morning. I would say about 70% of the newspapers.
Do you think it's like you print the teams in the from the Schools Cup because all the Mas buy the Mas and Dads buy it for their little Johnny's playing? Is that like, oh, put pictures of people and they'll all buy the papers?
It's a good business move, isn't it? When you think about what was the total number of people who were there at the weekend? 250,000 maybe across all 3 events. Maybe 300, and that's 300,000 souvenir copies that might go out the shop door, you know, so it's a good business model.
Yeah, not very sustainable in the long run unless you have a Pope visiting every weekend. But anyway, yeah, so I'm struggling here to find you the headlines. There is no, obviously, back page. Training ground tales highlight need for O'Neill and Keane to salvage some joy from a last year. This is Dan McDonnell, obviously. Martin O'Neill on his charm offensive. Tuesday night, the lads will be playing out Martin O'Neill feature-length interview with Joe. No looking back for Gavin as hand of history rests lightly on his shoulders. But of course, there's a picture of Diarmuid Connolly, Banco's ghost and all this, you know. It'd be great if he'd gone over there and not been like as fit and healthy looking as he's ever been and kicking 12 points in the final. You know, it's like, oh, he kind of just went over and had a crack and had steaks and hung out and lazed about on the couch. But no, Diarmuid Connolly looks in pretty good shape.
Maybe he did laze about and have steaks and chips and all that sort of stuff, and he is just in good shape anyway. Maybe he's enjoyed himself and played brilliant football.
Well,
it's just the perfect lifestyle.
Yeah. You know, fair play to him, I say. But like, if they lose this game, imagine that. Imagine if they're like, you know, 3 points down, 20 minutes to go, and their usual calmness is just too calm, that actually they need someone to come on and go, hang on, I'm going to just ping this ball 60 yards straight into the path of my inside forward.
Yeah, like the thing is though, the glaring, the obvious thing about Dublin this summer is that they haven't needed Diarmuid Connolly, and Diarmuid Connolly wouldn't be as effective as we've seen Diarmuid Connolly be in this current setup with Dublin. He just wouldn't be. Like, Brian Howard is ultimately going to do just as good a job. Now Scully is ultimately going to do just as good a job.
No, don't talk yourself into this.
Despite the fact that they're nowhere near as good a footballer as Diarmuid Connolly.
No, but are you saying that you can't have a system that finds a way to take advantage of the most exuberantly gifted footballer of his generation?
Sure, maybe I'm overstating it a small bit, but I do think that the priority of the individual has been lessened a hell of a lot in this current system, which is why they're more unbeatable than ever.
But he's Maradona. Like, that's how good he was. He can radicalise any instance or any team. That's like, it's an all-world talent that we're talking about. Tip turnaround, Premier avenged 13-point Munster final loss in dramatic under-21 decider. So it was pretty dramatic. It was like Cork take the lead in injury time and you're like, oh yeah, well, okay. So this is a very heralded Cork team who obviously hammered Tip are 6-point underdogs heading into the final, and then it was like, yeah, no big deal. Injury time goal. That's how we roll. My favourite moment in the entire match was the Tip cornerback wearing number 4. His name escapes me at the moment, but Cork are bundling through on goal, and the number 4 grabs the sliotar and bursts out of defence, gets shouldered, and there's no free, and he gathers the sliotar again, gets shouldered again, and then the referee gives it, and he's down on the ground, and he gives the big fist bump. And then he goes down, he's like, oh my God, my shoulder. And I think he's done serious damage to his shoulder and gets taken off. But he got the fist bump in just before he went down in agonising pain, which is the most important moment of his life. Absolutely. And so Liam Call, the Tipperary under-21 manager, is definitely keen to discuss the senior manager's job. He came out and he had a line about how there's a few of the senior players in their comfort zone at the moment, so that'll be interesting to see if he gets it and if he gets approached after that success. Chelsea's 2.5 billion price tag, Abramovich not actively looking to sell but will consider offers. So the Roman Abramovich situation obviously was that he was denied a visa during the early part of the year, and there was a suggestion at that point that he would try and sell the club. It doesn't look like he needs the safety of having the club at the minute to remain safe. Because obviously that was one of the main reasons why he bought the team in the first place, was to be like, hang on a second, I'm Roman Abramovich here, and I'm a person of interest to people beyond Russia. Don't kill me. And so now everybody knows who Roman Abramovich is, and you can't be killing Roman Abramovich. The thing is, the Roman Abramovich effect has been lessened massively because Roman Abramovich is just too poor. He's just not rich enough to dominate a league in the way he's been able to do previously. It's a fact at the moment that he is not the richest owner in the league. We have never seen Roman Abramovich suffer like this before. We've never seen him, poorly being the second or third richest man in the Premier League. I'm just reading about us. The quality content is the stuff people want and need, and it's about us. It's a piece about us in the newspaper. I just want to read you this first bit. This is Tommy Rooney, producer of OTB AM, giving away all the state secrets just because a journalist comes and flutters his eyelashes at him. You'll have to bear with me, says show producer Tommy Rooney, as we fumble into the back of his workplace. On the far side of the glass from our presenters, Ger and Eoin, and Sheehan, that's you and me, Owen, are talking about pictures which show the neglect at Casement Park. A guest has just fallen through. You never tell anybody a guest has fallen through. No one knows except us. We're the only ones who know that. It's very kind of Ronan early to translate the term shut the hell up for a moment into you'll have to bear with me. As we fumble into the back of his workplace. I mean, anybody who's seen Tommy's tackle in AO, is on the field Gaelic football tackle. His black card offence. His black card offence, that's a much more appropriate way of putting it. We'll know that he's he likes to fumble his way through the workplace as well. Very quickly, moving on, that's in the Times Ireland edition today, well worth a look. We're still fighting for this. They've played 3 games. We're still fighting for this. Like, the fact that Man United have to come out and talk about this.
Is that a direct
They
quote?
played 2 games. So Man United Spurs tonight at 8 o'clock. We'll speak with Daniel Harris a little bit later on to preview this game and talk about the other stories that have come out, including the 330-word press conference that José Mourinho did on Friday.
259-second.
Yeah,
press conference,
so
yeah.
somebody else counted the words. So I missed it. So we were at the races at Kilbeggan on Friday, which we should talk about. Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, we're going to go to Kilbeggan on a night out. We're going to get a minibus.
Was that not what Friday was?
Yeah, but we'll do it again. But we had to work. Like, we were filming stuff and interviewing people.
You put up 7 Instagram stories. It looked like really, really hard work.
I know, there's a documentary coming on.
I'm sure there is.
Also, Patrick Mullins in the bumper. What the hell? Why have we not always been backing Patrick Mullins in the bumper? It's like the day's racing is going really badly for all the punters. And then in the last race, Patrick Mullins has a horse in the bumper. And you're like, I might just back this. I might just back this and rescue my day.
Why? Like, why?
Because he always wins the bumper. And so there you go. We're at Kilbeggan and there's 2 horses coming in and you're like, yeah, that looks like Patrick Mullins, all right. And blast through and wins.
And does it save your day financially?
Yeah. Well, it depends on...
Depends on the wager, of course.
There was one of our party who shall remain nameless who was like all in. All his chips were in the middle of that. And I was like, this better go well. Otherwise, that's going to be an interesting bus journey. Lo and behold, Patrick Mullins in the bumper was the correct thing to do. So I missed the press conference. We were travelling down to Kilbeggan and... I didn't go looking for it afterwards, and I'm sorry I didn't now. He showed up half an hour early. What happened?
Half an hour early, spoke for 259 seconds in the broadcast section, 8 minutes in total between print and between broadcast. There was 4 broadcast journalists there, and on the Manchester United press conferences that you can watch on YouTube, you can actually see the journalists now. They actually have a 2-camera shot, so you can just see them getting more and more disillusioned as these 259 seconds are elapsing. And like at the start, it's a question about team news, and he answers it straight back. And then he asks questions about the title race, and Jose says, "I'm not pessimistic like you." And then they're like, "All right, well, what about Tottenham? They're going to pose a challenge." And he's like, "No comment." About the opponent on Monday, which, as Jamie Jackson, the Guardian, accurately pointed out, whenever a manager is asked something awkward, they're always like, no comment, and then the press officer is like, can we just talk about the game again, please? But the question was literally about their opponents, and Jose was like, I don't want to comment. And then there was another answer where he's like, I don't discuss this with you. And it was just so childish. It was very, very funny, in fairness. It was but I do think I'm in the minority of people who find Jose Mourinho very entertaining,
charming and endearing at this point.
Yeah, I think most people are absolutely sick of him.
Very quickly, we'll bring in the Irish news before we get on to the tabloids this morning. So it's Harte, I duck online critics, which I think is a good piece of life advice from Mickey Harte, is to stay away from the online critics. Shit My Dad Says used to be that Twitter account, and it was like, you don't go to the park and put your picnic blanket down beside dog shit, do you? It's like, it's a fair point. Maybe you should try and avoid the people pouring poison in your ear if you possibly can. Easier said than done, obviously, but anyway, where are we going?
We'll go to the Heralds. They're beginning their All-Ireland build-up. It is a Pope wraparound, but inside it is Pilot Gavin is in it for the long haul. And Conor McKeown writing here this morning that prolific and teak-tough Tyrone are formidable opponents, says the Blues boss. So that's Jim Gavin talking up their opponents. Tyrone, of course, this Sunday at 3:30 in the All-Ireland football final. Dublin going for 4 in a row. Back page of the Irish Daily Mail then this morning is, I'll never forget, agony of semi-final demolition will stay with Harte forever. That's quite a big statement there from Mickey Harte, saying that he wants his Tyrone players to hold on to the pain of last year's All-Ireland semi-final humiliation to Dublin. You've also got Padraig pipped at the post. Andrea Pavan beating Padraig Harrington in the Czech Masters yesterday in a deserving victory for Pavan, just a better golfer down the home stretch. And as Harrington accurately said yesterday, it was more Pavan winning it rather than Harrington losing it. Although if he'd just been a little bit more accurate off the tee box on 15-16, you wouldn't know. He might have got himself into a few more birdie positions that might have brought the thing to the playoff. Irish Daily Star is a Pope wraparound, but inside is sulking Mourinho has lost the plot. That is Eamon Dunphy, I presume. Yes, Eamon Dunphy writing that Jose Mourinho has lost the plot, he says, and he's having a negative impact on the form of his players. Back page of the Sun this morning is Jose again. I'm not selfish, says the headline here. A picture there of him in a maroon hoodie. Mourinho denies it's all about him. You've also got another one saying Ozil pulls a sickie.
He had a cold.
Mesut Ozil, since December 2016, has missed 8 matches due to illness. No other Arsenal player has missed more than 1. There is your statistic of the day. He was forced to show up to the dressing room though by Unai Emery. He was there for like an hour, and Emery was like, "If the rest of the team gets sick, then it's my fault. It's not your fault, Mesut. Don't worry. Just come and sit in the dressing room."
As in, I don't think that you're actually going to be in any way,
I'm reading between the lines, and that's what I'm seeing.
Contagious. I'm basically daring you to make any of my players sick, Mesut.
Well, Mesut Ozil is a very special individual. He doesn't actually get viruses. The illnesses he feels are very, introverted illnesses. The viruses in his body are like Mesut Ozil. They care a lot about themselves as well, and they don't really care about infecting other people. So it was quite a safe move from Unai Emery to allow Ozil to sit in the dressing room. On the back page of the Mirror, it's Rafa's Boer War. Benitez defence tactics, says Redknapp Brand's tune an embarrassment, and Sarri Blast's defensive approach. It was quite like another morbid occasion yesterday, but entertaining for that reason. Just listening to the commentary team trying to drum up some sort of excitement around what was actually happening at St James's Park yesterday.
I only heard the last 25 minutes. It was great.
Well, you got
the goal went in, the penalty. It was like, yeah.
I sat through the full 95 minutes of it, including injury time, and I was laughing my head off when Newcastle equalised, especially after Yedlin elbowed Olivier Giroud right into the face and then proceeded to cross the ball in for the equaliser, which
accidental though, no?
Well, it was accidental, but it was a clear elbow into the face right in front of the assistant, and the assistant was like, "Never mind, don't worry about that.
It's a game for men."
It is a game for men, and that is a story on the front page of the Daily Telegraph sports section. Rafa's parking the bus tactic backfires. Chelsea maintained their perfect start despite Newcastle's negative approach. And on the back page of The Guardian, it is Garden of Eden. Chelsea maintain 100% start after Yedlin's blunder.